I read an article written by Bradley Mattis, who by the way is president of Life Issues Institute, and it was a really powerful article. It really struck a nerve with me because of some of the conversations I've had with callers in and around abortion, and I wanted to draw some attention, to be honest with you, to his ministry. And let me just say, I've never met Bradley until now, but I was moved by the article enough that I know that he can bring some testimony and some help to so many men that have suffered through abortion. Bradley, welcome. We sure appreciate you, Brad.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me on.
So tell us a little bit about your work and ministry.
Okay. Well, Life Issues Institute was founded in '91 to provide educational resources for the movement, pro-life movement, and public at large. As we were doing our work, we began to receive letters and emails from fathers who were grieving and struggling emotionally as a result of losing a child to abortion. And my colleague, Dr. Wilkie, at the time, I went into his office and I said, Jack, I think we're missing something here. We're aware of women suffering, but we're missing the boat with these silent victims of men. One of those was a handwritten letter by the brother of a man who hung himself in his mother's garage because he could not deal with the grief of losing 2 children by abortion. And Dan, just yesterday, we were contacted via email from a man. It was on the 20-something anniversary of the death of his child. 2 days earlier, he had been in his closet with a gun. We immediately worked to find a free counselor where he was, and within hours, he had an appointment with somebody who could help him. And we understand, of course, there's death involved with abortion. And sometimes the women die, and often they're emotionally or physically harmed. But we have to understand that the men hurt too, and sometimes so much that they take their own lives.
Wow. Folks, I want to call your attention to a website called Men and Abortion, all one word, menandabortion.net. And it's a place, right, Brad, that they can go, menandabortion.net. It's a place they can go to get help. Is that right?
Absolutely. That website is exclusively for hurting fathers and the people that want to help them. There are a host of resources, many of them free, lots of information, so you can understand why you have the feelings that you do. And to let you know that you're not alone, there are millions of men out there who struggle emotionally and sometimes physically as a result of those emotional problems and don't know that it's related to the abortion. So you can request a counselor, even anonymously if you want to. All we need to know is the city in which you live, and we'll be able to find a peer counselor for you.
So what year was it that you had this realization? It was in the 90s?
I would guess it was about 1995. And I began to do my own anecdotal research, and I found little islands of experts in the field of men and abortion throughout the country. And I said to these men and women that we needed to get together so that we could do much more effective work in creating awareness and then providing help. And that was the birth of the Men and Abortion Network. There were about 12 of us expert in that field. And we did a really successful job of creating awareness to the movement. And we were thrilled that the pro-life movement was so happy to get this information and began to integrate help and counseling for men and mentoring for men in many of the pro-life women centers and clinics across the country.
Brad, where can people read this article that I read? I mean, I put it out on Twitter, obviously, and folks, if you follow me on Twitter, you can find that article. I know a lot of you read it there, but where can they find this article easily?
Sure. It's at lifeissues.org, lifeissues.org. Click on the latest and then go to the archive and it'll be right there. I've written on this topic many times, so if you do a word search for men in abortion, you will get probably that article and others that I have written.
Great. It's called Abortion's Silent Victim. And it is, it also has some links to some of the recent videos that have been circulating that are so disturbing. And was that something that moved you to write this article? And
it was the thing, Dan, that motivated me to write that article. I saw the video and it tore my heart out, as it did probably everybody else.
Yes.
Who watched it. It was a young man who was so happy about becoming a father, and his girlfriend decided to get an abortion. And he tried up to the very end to persuade her not to have one. He's kneeling, arms outstretched in front of a closed, locked abortion facility door, begging his girlfriend, Abby, not to kill their child before breaking down and sobbing. It was just heart-wrenching, but it's very representative of what a lot of men go through, because legally they have no recourse in whether or say so in whether or not their baby lives or dies.
Do you know if there's ever been legislation put forth to
Yes.
give the men? There has been. And
yes, back in the 90s, it went to the Supreme Court. It was called the Casey decision. It involved a couple of various different aspects of protections regarding abortions. And the Supreme Court struck down a requirement that a husband married to the woman who's going to have the abortion just simply be notified before she has the abortion. And the Supreme Court struck that down.
Under the grounds of it's just the woman's right, and only the woman's right, I guess.
Absolutely, yes. Their right, so-called right to privacy. And what we have to understand is common sense. For every baby conceived, there's a man involved, there's a father. And we're very concerned about the rights of the mother, but we also have to understand that we need to balance that with the rights of the father.
I guess it makes me wonder, and I know so many people in Washington, and I thought about asking you that question to kind of see where things are, but from a legislative perspective. But it seems to me, in the environment that we are in today, with the Supreme Court being where it is, and being a president that has been helping our religious freedoms in a dramatic way, that if maybe this would be the time. Of course, it would have to get through a House of Representatives that would not be for that. But it just sounds like a natural step for us to take, maybe try again at a certain point in time.
Well, we have to realize that the feminists will go apoplectic if we advocate for fathers' rights when it comes to so-called choice. Not only do we have the Democrat-controlled pro-abortion House, we also, Dan, have to get past the Senate with a veto, with a 2/3 majority,
right?
To get over a filibuster. Yeah. So we have to do those things, and right now it doesn't look really good.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's sad, folks. Menandabortion.net, menandabortion.net. And will they be able to find a counselor in their area through that website, Brad?
Absolutely. There'll be an obvious spot there where you can find a peer counselor. Click on that. You don't even have to give your name if you want to remain anonymous. The more information you do provide, the better assistance we can give you. But your privacy is a priority with us. We understand your pain, your anguish, the shame that often comes with it, the guilt, the remorse. So we are there with you to stand with you and get you the help that you need, because no guy can get through this by himself. Many have tried, many are trying, but it's just too big of an ordeal and loss to get over without some help.
The website is your website.
It's lifeissues.org, lifeissues.org.
And they can find out more about your organization going to lifeissues.org.
Absolutely.
And how they can support your work and help you with what you're doing. What a great work. Brad, we're so grateful that God's raised up someone like you and the others around you. I'm sure you're surrounded by others that are taking this issue head on. And it's not a politically correct, so to speak, area that is just going to, motivate the masses to want to get behind. But so important, particularly as we think of the man as the head of the household and so many men losing their way as it is in that regard. What an important
back in the late 70s when I got involved in the movement, it wasn't politically correct to even be pro-life. Planned Parenthood was considered sacred and good. And shining the truth on that has changed a lot.
Yeah, it sure has. We'll continue to shine the truth on this. If there's anything we can do to help, you let us know. But we sure do appreciate you, Brad, and your work. Again, folks, menendabortion.net. If you need some counsel, some help, and certainly we want you to remember Life Issues Institute, lifeissuesinstitute.org. Brad, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. God bless. Hey, I want to thank you for watching the clip. We sure do appreciate it. Would you go right now, click on that subscribe button if you haven't already. That helps us. We would appreciate it. Thanks again.